My name is Kent Hubbard. I'm the sous chef here at the Wrigley Appalachian Eatery. And today I'm going to go over how to cure a country ham. So the few things you're going to need. First thing you're going to need is your green ham. Green ham is just a term that they use. It's an uncured raw ham, skin still on, and it's going to be, you want about 20 to 25 pound average to start. At least that's where I like to go. Also, you'll need unwaxed butcher paper to wrap your ham in. And this is just so moisture can escape the ham and it holds the cure on. Now your cure is going to be something different. I'm making enough cure to do 2 hams. So I've got a little bit more than I'm going to need for this one. And I'm going to start off with 4 pounds of fine ground sea salt and 1 pound of dark brown sugar. I like the dark brown sugar over light brown sugar. It has a little more of a molasses content, so you get a little bit richer of a flavor. But I've always done 4 to 1 salt to sugar. You get the sugar up higher than that, and you do more of a sugar cure, and then it won't last as long, and it's higher possibility for mold growth during the curing and aging process. The sugar will help to prevent that, or the salt will help to prevent that. So we'll start off 4 pounds of sugar into a bowl, or 4 pounds of salt into a bowl, 1 pound of brown sugar, and traditionally, other than that, you use black pepper. I did 3.2 ounces, which is about 4% weight of the sugar and salt. And then red chili flake. On the chili flake, I did 0.8 ounces, which is about 1% of your weight. The chili flake and the black pepper, not only does it help to give you some flavor in your ham, it also helps to repel bugs while the ham is curing and aging. Also, this isn't required, but I'm not going to smoke this ham after it's cured. I'm just using some smoked paprika to add that smoky flavor and to give it a little more color. I did on that 0.8 ounces, which is 1% of the salt and sugar weight. And since I'm going to use this ham here at the restaurant, I can't cure it outside, so I'm going to be curing it in our walk-in fridge, which is set to 40 degrees, which is the ideal temperature for the cure, and you also want 80% humidity. But because I am curing inside, and the humidity might be a little bit higher than that, I'm going to add some curing salt. Prog number 1, 1% weight of the salt and sugar. Go ahead and add that in. Now you want to make sure your cure is mixed really well. The sugar will break up as it mixes with the salt and spices. But you want to make sure you have it really, really well mixed. You don't want to see any sugar clumps in here. And you want to make sure your spice blend is evenly distributed in the salt. This curing mix, you can always change it a little bit with some different spices, maybe add some aromatics. I've seen people do a little bit of dried thyme. I've seen people do a lot of different more paprika. I've seen people use some chili powders in it. But if you do that, it's not going to be a traditional country ham. It's going to be more of a little play on a traditional country ham. Okay, once your cure is really well mixed, you can set that aside a little bit. And this is going to be our ham we're going to cure. I always like to just put a little bit of the cure down for the ham to sit on. Ham right in the center of the butcher's paper. I always like to put mine at an angle, so keep the butcher's paper about to a diamond. And I'm going to trim a little bit of this off right here. This extra fat, extra little bit of meat, just going to get in the way. Take that off. Take a little bit of this fat cap off right here. Okay. Now, one of the most important parts is on the ham hock. This ham hock is going to be the vital thing to stuff cure to keep the ham from going bad. Most of the time, if a ham goes bad while it's curing, it's because the cure did not penetrate deep enough into the hock to hit this joint, and it caused it to grow mold that could be dangerous to us. So it's always good to take your fingers and work in the hock to pull the skin away from the muscles, so you have a nice little pocket to really stuff some cure in. Once you have that all loosened up, you can start with a couple handfuls. And just really start stuffing your cure up under the skin. Now the cure is real dry, so it's having a little bit of trouble packing in there. You can always remedy this to make it a little easier on yourself if you add just a little bit of water, a few tablespoons of water to your cure, and that'll make it pack a little bit more, a little easier for you. I always like to do it a little drier, and then just give it a minute for the juice of the ham to come out on that salt and sugar, and it will start to pack in there a little easier for you. And I'm going to turn this around, and we're going to start on this big exposed section of meat. Start a handful and just try to push it on in there. You don't have to pull the skin away. You don't have to do anything like that, but you just want to make sure you get it really worked into the fat layer around the skin and into those little crevices of the exposed meat. Work it in with your fingers. The excess cure down on the paper is not going to be a problem. It'll just encase the ham a little bit more. The cure won't penetrate through the skin, but it also doesn't hurt to leave a little bit on the skin to help pull a little bit of that moisture out. One of the things that makes a country ham is you do lose about 20% water weight from the original weight of the ham. This one was 23 pounds, 8 ounces. So I'll keep a note of that, and also weigh the ham usually every couple of weeks as it's curing, just to make sure it's on the right track to lose that weight. The other thing that makes a true country ham is a 4% salt content through the entirety of the meat, which you're not going to get that from the curing process. That 4% salt will penetrate through during the aging process. Because once you are done curing this ham, your salt content will still stick around the outside of the ham, on the outside of the meat. And as it ages and you add some heat to it, the pores of the meat will start to open up, and they will start to accept that salt all the way through. My cure process is about 2 days per pound, but where I'm curing this one in a walk-in fridge instead of outside in a barn or in a garage or a ham house, I'm going to go for 60 days just to be safe, to make sure that it loses all that water weight it needs to, because the humidity might be a little bit high in our walk-in. Now I'm going to go back to the hawk and try to get a little more cure up in there to keep it, just to be safe, because I don't want to lose this ham. I'm looking forward to being able to cut into it and enjoy it. After I get it packed in real well, then I'll just take an extra handful and really make a good cap on top of that hawk, so it holds a good amount. And one thing I've learned, a little trick that helps sometimes to make sure that joint doesn't get that makes sure the joint gets enough cure to it, is I'll take right along the bone line and just pile a little bit more cure on the skin. It won't penetrate through the skin, but it will pull moisture out of the skin and just allow the cure to penetrate up to the bone a little bit better. I have it coated pretty well. A little bit right there. I'm going to change out my gloves. Now the next step is going to be wrapping the ham with the butcher's paper. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around, make it a little easier for you to see. start with this front corner. Pull it straight up. Make sure I have plenty of cure up against that hawk. And come down with it. Straight down, hold it tight. Pull the corners in. And start on the other side. I went ahead and pre-ripped off some tape to tape this. I learned the hard way the first time I made a country ham that you want to make sure you have everything ready for you. You don't want to have to use your hands to grab at anything. You don't want to wipe your face because your hands are covered with sugar, salt, and pepper flake, and it's just going to be a really bad time if you touch your face or get that anywhere else that might cause some burning. You don't have to tape it as well as I am. I'm just being a little extra cautious on it just to make sure it doesn't come loose. I want to make sure all that cure stays in. And this ham is a nice tight fit so the cure doesn't slide around. Another item you need is a ham sock. It's traditionally called. It's just this cotton mesh net to put the ham in. These are available online. They're extremely cheap, easy to get. I don't recommend reusing them for multiple hams just because you are growing some bacteria on these. It's always nice to get a new one. Traditionally, pillowcases have been used also. I'd make sure it's 100% cotton and no chemical treatment on it. But the sock works the best just because it does pull itself tighter with the weight of the ham. So you start at the hawk. You want this seam to be right on the hawk. And then slowly pull it up. Oop. Oh, I had a rip. This is one problem you can have. If your ham's a little bit moist, is this paper is unwaxed, so it will absorb water. So I'm just going to try to pull it tight, get the sock up around it, because that sock will hold it in place. Slowly work it up. You want the hawk to be on the bottom because it will pull the ham with its own weight into more of a teardrop shape. And that will help to let the moisture run down. And just give it a little bit of a shake. Let it work its way down. You can go for about a 16-inch ham sock. This one is a lot longer, but the way I have to hang mine, I need the extra slack at the end to hang it. So I went with a 24-inch ham sock. Once you have it pulled tight, really give it a shake, make sure it's seated in there. And I like to tie mine at the top. And then I like to tie it again so I can put a hook through it to hang it. And as soon as the hook gets in it, pull tight to the hook, and then you have a little bit of a distance so you can hang it. I'm going to be carrying this one in the walk-in fridge, so I will have to put drip pans underneath it. If it is out in a barn or in a ham house, you don't have to, but you will accumulate some drippings, and that causes insects and pests, rodents, anything else to be attracted to it. You want to make sure when you are curing it, you need about 40 degrees of temperature. So usually November, late October, early November is a great time to cure ham if you do have a ham house. 80% humidity is ideal for curing, but I know with certain amateurs it's not really feasible to get 80% humidity, which I think I'm going to be sticking around 85 to 90%. And that's why I use the curing salt to give it a little bit help to start that curing process. Again, I'm going to do this one for about 60 days, and when that's done, I'm going to pull it out of this sock, remove the paper, and give it a dry brush. If there's any mold on it, it's usually a healthy mold, closer to a penicillin than a harmful mold, but I will take a mixture of warm water and 10% vinegar and give it a little wash. You can add some extra aromatic seasoning at this point if you want to it. I won't. I want it to be more of a pure traditional ham. So then I will put it back in the sock in the same manner and hang it again for the aging process. You want to start off closer to 50 degrees for the first week to 2 weeks, and then let the temperature come up. 75, 80 degrees for I do 3 at the minimum, but 6 months to 9 months would be ideal of letting it hang. When it's hanging to age, that's when the skin's going to get its nice dark amber color, and it's going to really come out with that unique flavor that a country ham has, that little bit of funkiness. Everything is going to come from that aging process. And it will hopefully be as good as the last ham I've done. But one thing with country hams that I've learned is it's more of an art than a science. You have to have a good feel for it. And it's always fun to experiment a little bit, try some different flavor profiles, and enjoy yourself with it. This is a really fun, easy type of cure that I believe about anyone can do at home and find an ideal location to age, to cure, to store it. But here is your finished ham ready to cure. Thank you for joining me and watching. I'm Chef Kent Hubbard here at the Wrigley Appalachian Eatery, downtown Corbin on Main Street. Please come and see us, and we'd love to have you to come and try some of our food we put a lot of hard work into, and love to support our local community and local farmers. Thank you very much, and hopefully next year I'll be able to see everyone in person at Dumplings and Dancing.